Hi everyone, I'm Marianne, and welcome to another exciting episode of iSearch Pinoy SERYE. Today we are joined by the incredibly talented co-founder and chief creative of Diwata Komiks, Mark Nazal. He's one of the creatives behind some extraordinary Filipino-inspired comics featuring characters based on real-life heroes. Mark, it's an absolute pleasure to have you with us.
Hey Marianne, good to meet you. I'm glad to be here, and I do apologize, as everybody can see. I thought I was going to be home sooner, but I guess I got caught in traffic like everybody in LA. So I'm taking this interview from my car, but hopefully we can still have this fantastic conversation. Looking forward to answering any of your questions.
Yeah, just shows the humanness of Diwata Comics. I really love it. So your work is really fascinating, especially with your focus on Filipino-inspired characters and heroes. Can you give us a glimpse into your latest project since the Kickstarter campaign?
Oh yeah, for sure. So a little bit about how it began. So a little bit about myself. I come from a film and TV based background prior to starting Duwata Comics, and one of the things I realized is, well, those are amazing projects, like the Batmans, the Supermans, the Swamp Things, and all that. They were great, but we're not in those narratives. And there was a period in my life where I really didn't reach out to the community for many different reasons. And then after a certain pivotal moment, I found myself wanting to get to know more. We debuted our first character in 2021, late 2021, called Carmina, and she happens to be, a biracial young woman who finds out that her mother is a goddess from Philippine mythology. And while Carmina served a purpose in introducing the world of Diwata Comics, as we went to different conventions and especially Filipino centric events, there were people that asked, well, are there characters that are kind of like this or that? And we realized the community is so much richer than just one character. And so we devised this idea of, why don't we invite people, regardless of whether they have an entertainment background or not, to just create a character with us and tell a story based on their own lived in experiences. So that's how New Icons was conceived. It started last year during Filipino American History Month, where we introduced the first two characters, one featuring Divina Amala, done by Katuruan Lynn Pacificar, and then also Nikki J, created by Nilo Wineza. But then this year, we devised the idea of wanting to expand that world so that we can share more Filipino American experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, just reading from the descriptions of the characters of the new icons, we're seeing so much intersectionality in their identities. We're seeing representation of LGBTQ members, of course, the immigrant experience, as well as real life narratives. And then it's just incredibly impactful that you're turning real life narratives into visual art. Now, we've heard that Diwata Comics is not only telling stories, but also seeking collaborations and hiring creative minds. Can you elaborate on the specific roles you're looking to fill?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think at Diwata Comics, we value everyone from storytellers to artists to people just wanting to get heard. I feel like the mantra has always been, if there's a right fit, or even if there's a small potential fit, we'll find a fit. There's so much collaboration from the comics to the live action project. We always love hearing people with amazing stories. Our goal for New Icons is maybe perhaps every 2 years we refresh the roster. And as we started reaching out to different communities across the United States, from Atlanta to Texas, we realized that even those experiences are very different. So we hope that future new icon anthologies will showcase even more diversity. On top of that, we're always looking for amazing artists, because one of our titles, the LGBTQ one in particular, the one that is my title actually, The Hidden World of Anton Jimenez, I'm okay telling different stories with different art styles depending on the genre. So if there was an Anton episode that was more horror centric, we'd obviously want to get somebody that kind of has that particular look. But then there might be a moment where it's very lighthearted, it's very kiddie. we might be open to a different artist with that sensibility. So I'd say use the form on our website, the jobs form, to find out and submit your work if you're an artist, and we'll keep that in record and in mind. And when the right project comes along, then will most likely be reaching out.
Yeah, I totally agree. Because we also truly believe in the power of collaboration, which is why we're doing this serie with different businesses and other initiatives in the Filipino American community. And it's also wonderful to know that there are opportunities for talented individuals out there. And speaking of your team, so who are the driving forces or who are the faces behind Diwata Comics? And what qualities do you value in your team members, and how can potential collaborators align with your creative vision?
Obviously, I'm the first one because I guess somehow it defaulted to me being the driving force. But well, let's start with the founders. So there's myself, there's Erica Juliet, who is the co-creator of Carmina and also often functions as our producer. What I value about Erica is her tenacity. The way that Erica and I work is we just take every random idea and just run with it and have fun in the process. And then Joe Arciaga, who is our director of community and who also has a new icons character. Joe has been a part of the community for more than 2 decades. He was one of the founding members of Film Arts. He's a part of different chambers of commerce. He's very ingrained in the community. Really, he is our connection to the community. And last but not least, we have Roland Amago, who is one of our founding members, and he's actually in the Philippines. And Roland is our principal artist. And Roland's strength is that he can take any idea and any picture in your mind and really just bring that to life beautifully. So we've been very reliant on him for a lot of prototyping and testing new looks and testing new ideas. Last but not least, obviously, you have the rest of the new icons.
Yeah, it's wonderful to hear. What I'm hearing, it's not just about skills, it's about a shared passion for culture and visual arts, and also the importance of community. So, speaking of community, how can our viewers best support Diwata Comics? Are there specific ways people can actively engage or contribute to your projects and initiatives?
Absolutely. I mean, first and foremost, follow us on socials at Diwata Comics. That's Diwata, and comics with a Komiks. And I'm sure for a lot of the viewers, if they were wondering, was that just a stylized reason for that? Not necessarily. Comics with a K is how comics are spelled in Tagalog and in the Philippines. And if you search that, you'll see that there's a range of amazing titles produced over there, and we wanted to bring attention to that. But definitely make sure to follow us on socials, share the content, talk about the content, find us during our next conventions. I think those are different ways you can support us. Absolutely.
Just to like add on, I know like Mars Ravelo is like one of the biggest names in the comics world in the Philippines because I was born and raised in the Philippines. So I kind of had like a glimpse of his comics being shown on TV. So I think it's just an amazing thing to bring that to the US through Diwata Comics.
Fun
And
fact,
oh yeah.
you should actually go on, I think it's the Surreal Arts, or is it my personal YouTube, and look for Erica as Darna.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay, so
Just go
we
look
gotta
for it.
look for it. Yes.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing. And yeah, so before we wrap up, we'd love to hear your advice for aspiring writers and artists. What words of wisdom do you have for those who aspire to create meaningful stories, and perhaps an inspiring message for our Filipino American viewers about embracing their heritage?
I know sometimes it's hard because we grew up in a very colonial society, and sometimes I myself struggle with that. Even with Duwata Comics in its inception, I still struggle with that. So my advice is try to write as authentically as possible to yourself, while at the same time keeping it relatable. Because if you relate to it, your best bet is that somebody else will, and that's what you need to be able to do. And second part is tenacity. You have to be persistent. Try not to get discouraged when you don't hit your goals the first, second, third time. And don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help. Like if you think your story could benefit from feedback or could benefit from somebody looking at it, by all means reach out. I think this industry, and I'm not just talking about the comic industry, but the art industry in general, tend to be generous because we all love what we do, and I think we definitely don't mind giving advice to people that are looking to enter the industry.
Those are incredibly powerful words, especially at this time where authenticity and relatability is very valued. Well, thank you so much, Mark of Diwata Comics team, for sharing your passion, creativity, and wisdom with us today. To our viewers, remember your story is a treasure. Embrace it, share it, and let your heritage shine through your creations. Also, don't forget to follow iSearch Pinoy on social media channels to stay updated with our upcoming events and episodes. Stay tuned for our next series, and we'll bring you more engaging stories, inspiring guests, and exciting community events. Thank you once again for joining us, Mark. We'll see you in the next series.
Thanks, Marianne. Have a great day.
Thanks, you too.